Well, hey, Ignite Prayer Canada. My name is Nathan. I'm a pastor at Central Heights Church in Abbotsford. And today I just want to talk to you a little bit about our experience of forming a culture of prayer. Key moment for us was 2 years ago, a webinar with John Tyson, the senior pastor of Church of the City, New York. And he said something like this: if someone showed up to your prayer gathering, they want to pray. And if they're not praying, it's not for lack of desire, it's because you haven't created a space for them to do so. Now, one, that hit me like a punch in the gut because it convicted me of the ways in which I was not equipping people and not preparing people to pray. But two, it left me committed to doing something different, something better. As a church, I wanted us to be a place that would enable people to pray, that would help them to grow in their ability to seek the face of God. And so not only did I leave with that commitment, I left with the conviction that we were going to do something bigger, something better. We weren't going to be a church that bathed prayer meetings in mediocrity. We were going to do something else that nobody had ever done. We were going to create the greatest prayer meetings the world had ever seen. Maybe you can see where this is going. I think our intentions were good, but over the course of the next 6 months or so, we, and probably the right thing to say is me, we made sure to prioritize every single minute, maybe even every single second of our hour-long prayer meetings to think about what we should do. We thought about slides to provide prompts for prayer. We thought about ambient background music. We had posters and banners. We ran a pilot option with our staff team, got some feedback, made some adjustments, brought in a core team of volunteers, again, ran a pilot project, got some feedback, made some adjustments, and then finally opened it up on February 29th of 2024 to our church. Remember what I said about the greatest prayer gatherings the world had ever seen? Scratch that. Just about everything imaginable went wrong. First, our worship leader slept in. As I was trying to set up, at about 20 minutes beforehand and a few missed phone calls, I realized he was not coming. In fact, not only did he sleep in, but when he finally woke up 2 hours later, his alarm clock had been pulled off the bedside table and unplugged and thrown onto the ground. Like his body was revolting at the thought of waking up at 5:30 in the morning. Our projector also wasn't working for some strange reason, which we use projection for slides, for lyrics, but also for prompts for portions of prayer. Our audio had issues, so I couldn't even play background music or have some sort of different worship music that we could play and sing along to, or even just to mic myself. And finally, I solved that one at 6:37, 7 minutes after we were supposed to start. So I walk up there and I feel defeated and I read 2 Peter 1, 1 to 11, and I tell people to spend some time meeting with God, toss on some music on in the background. And I walk to the back and I was frankly humiliated. And I also look back on February 29th, 2024 as my favorite prayer meeting we have ever run. Later on in our time of prayer, we have just a moment of personal silence and invitation to journal, to reflect on the passage of Scripture. And here's what I wrote down, and I actually want to read it for you. It says this: February 29th, 2024. What better way to launch than complete dependence on you, O God? What better way to launch than in our humiliation? What better way to lead than to fall? See, as embarrassed as I was, I felt strangely sustained. I don't know if that's the right word, maybe released. Released from the need to have a prayer meeting that was perfect in every way so that I could somehow push people into meeting with God through prayer. I still firmly believe in the importance of creating environments that help people engage in prayer with God, help people to intercede for the world. But it is not about the glitz and the glamour. It's simply about coming before God with a posture that is ready to submit to Him. I think God has a little bit of a sense of humor too, and needed to teach me this, because at the end of the prayer meeting at 7:31 a.m., the prayer meeting was done for 1 minute. The projector flashes on by itself. We did nothing, but we just needed to come before God in prayer. Now, if after hearing all of this, you still want to know the specific details and the structure to how to create an environment that can be conducive towards prayer, we've attached a link to our prayer room training manual that gives you some of the nuts and bolts about how we train people to lead in the prayer room and also the specific details of what a typical morning prayer time would look like. But if you just want the kind of simpler version, we open at 6:30 a.m. We welcome. We say thank you for being here, and we just kind of stand in silence and read a passage of scripture. At 6:35, we will do 2 songs, maybe a little bit more if we feel like it's appropriate, but 2 songs of worship altogether. At 6:50, we will once again read the passage of scripture and then give people about 10 minutes just to meet with God on their own. At 7 o'clock, we then once again turn the room towards intercession, saying whatever it is that God's been stirring within you, we want to give this back to God to intercede for the world. And we are okay with giving people the permission to say you can do this in groups or on your own. At about 7:20, 7:25-ish, we close. We might close with a song, we might close with a reading, or even just a large group prayer moment. And then we bless people and finish at 7:30. We've averaged about 24 people Thursday mornings at 6:30 doing this. We haven't really promoted it a lot. We've just recently started to promote it more and more. In fact, every single Sunday we're promoting it. We're hoping to launch multiple prayer rooms, so a second one coming maybe on a Tuesday morning, third time maybe over lunch. And we're just wanting our church to know that prayer is foundational to everything we do. I just want to close with one brief story of a guy named Jacob who showed up to our prayer gathering a few months ago. Jacob is someone who came in with a ton of doubt. He wrestles intellectually with the thought of whether or not there could be an infinite God. He wrestles emotionally over the sense that he has never experienced God. He wrestles morally over the feeling that he is not a good Christian, whatever that means. And just a few weeks ago before Christmas, Jacob came and talked to me and said that he has found a place that wrestles with all of these things at the same time and actually gives him a place to walk through them. That is intellectual, experiential, and moral wrestling all finds a place to be processed in the prayer room. That all of these things have become a place for him to learn how to walk with God further. That does not mean that his struggles are gone. It simply means that what had been lacking before for Jacob was an environment for him to process his struggles with God and with one another. And that is my hope and prayer when it comes to the prayer room, that we would foster more environments for like that for people. And I trust that that is yours as well. So press on, friends. Excited to continue to cultivate environments of kingdom prayer alongside you.